Okay, hi everyone. Hi everyone. This is a video to show you how to go through the monthly update for the dementia diagnosis rates, and how to put the PowerPoint presentation together, get the data from NHS Digital, put the PowerPoint presentation together, and then upload it onto the NHS Futures site. So I'm sharing my screen. You should currently be able to see the monthly dashboard for January, which I'm going to use as an example. And basically, these are the PowerPoint slides that we put together. There's just 5 slides. The first slide is the headline, which gives you the national figure for England for the dementia diagnosis rate each month, and also the national average for antipsychotic medication prescribing, and we just update that each month based on the latest month's figures that we get from NHS Digital. I'll go through each of these slides first, and then we'll visit the website where the data is, and we'll go through how to download the data and what to do with it once we've downloaded it. So the second slide that you have is the monthly dementia diagnosis rate figures for the whole of Yorkshire and the Humber. So that includes our 3 ICBs of Humber and North Yorkshire, West Yorkshire and South Yorkshire. And we always put the England figure on there as well, so that people have that as a comparison. And then we have the line going across, which is set at 66.7%, which is the national ambition. And that's what we're hoping to get everybody up to eventually. What you'll see is the charts are organised from left to right, smallest to largest. So at the right hand side, you'll see those in green. Basically, anywhere above 66.6%, and down here in the bottom right hand corner, you can see the you can see the little table that sort of tells you the key. You can see the key there. So anything in light green, pale green is anything over 66.6. So they're meeting the target. And then in the light yellow or amber, we've got anywhere between 66.6 and 61.6. So within 5% basically of hitting the target, we give an amber. And then anybody below 61.6, which is more than 5% away from the target, we give them a light pink. So you can see with the spread across. When we put this chart together, we highlight here the national ambition at 66.7, and we kind of point towards that line from that box. On each of the ICB bars, we have it's just a text box that's been twisted around 180 degrees, and you can copy and paste these from one presentation to the next, and we'll go through that in a bit more detail later on. And it's same for England and West Yorkshire and South Yorkshire. We always put the link to the NHS Digital at the bottom there, and the key to the colour coding. And each month you can just copy and paste the title slide and just change it to February, March, April, May, as we go along. And in the top here, we have the months, the current months. On the next slide, we've got the antipsychotics, use of antipsychotic medication, and again, it's across the whole of Yorkshire and Humber. And again, it's organised from left to right, smallest to largest. We put data labels in at the top of each bar so that you can quickly see what percentage each provider is. We've got the names of each of the 3 ICBs, and we put diagonal bars so that you can pick them out. And we colour England in blue and put the England name over that one. At the bottom again, this is the same place where you get the dementia diagnosis rate data. It's in the same spreadsheet, so we put the link to it at the bottom. And then I always just have recently started to put in the link to the new antipsychotics toolkit, which we had a big hand in putting. Okay, the next slide is the next 3 slides actually are. This is a new bit of data that's only just started being published in January 2023. So this gives you ethnicity splits for each of the ICBs and the sub-ICBs in across England, basically. So when we'll show, I'll go through where we get this data from, and we'll go through the spreadsheet, and we'll have a look at how we filter out the data and bring it into charts onto the PowerPoint presentation. But in this particular presentation, we just do 3 charts, one for each of the ICBs. So this first one is Humber and North Yorkshire. And these are the number of people on the dementia register in Humber and North Yorkshire, and as defined by their ethnicity splits. And then there's one for Humber and North Yorkshire, one for South Yorkshire, and then there's one for West Yorkshire. So that's the PowerPoint presentation. If I go back to the first slide, and what I'll do is I'll just follow this link. The link at the top there always takes you to the NHS Digital website. So we'll go to the website now, and it will always take you to this latest statistics page, which currently are in February, because that's the latest one that's out. If you scroll down this page, it will give you some dates for the upcoming publication. So you can see there that the March data, at the time I've made this video, is the 11th of May. A couple of weeks time, probably about another 3 weeks time. And then very shortly after that, because the March data is actually delayed, it should have been out already. It's delayed, but because of that delay, it means that the April data will come along a lot quicker. So it's just 2 weeks after the March data, the April data is going to come, and then I think we're back to normal then on a monthly basis for the June data, and you can see that's going to be 15th of June. So basically what you would do is you would click on the February data, and it takes you to that page, and on that page it's worth having a read of any messages that are here. There's a bit of a message there about some incorrectly used SNOMED coding in for February 2023, so just gives you a bit of a warning about the use of that data, because there was a bit of an error. And then there's a summary a bit of a narrative around a summary, which tells you a little bit about recent changes to how the data was collected, and it's always worth reading that just in case there are any things that you need to be made aware of. Then there's some key facts that are always displayed, and the second one down, this one in yellow, diagnosis rate in those aged over 65 and over, that's basically what I copy that each month and I paste it into the PowerPoint presentation in the red box there. They don't do the same for antipsychotics, so it's we have to do that one ourselves manually. You carry on scrolling down, basically what you get to is the resources. So this is the data. The top one, the summary, is the one that you always download to your computer, and that includes the dementia diagnosis rates, and it also includes. So you download that one, and then you go down a little bit further, and if you go down to this one here, you'll see primary care dementia data, February 2023, ethnic group by sub-ICB location. Again, you want that downloaded to your computer as well. And what I tend to do when I download them is I save them in a folder, and so I'll quickly show you where that folder is. So it's in our Yorkshire Humber Clinical Network folders on SharePoint. If you go to the MHDN, mental health, dementia and neurological conditions, it's not that anymore, but and then go to data, and then in data there's a DDR folder, dementia diagnosis rates, and then there's a 2023, open 2023. And these are January, February, there's no March data yet, it's not out yet, but January and February are there. You can see already I've got those two Excel spreadsheets in there already that I've just shown you. I'm going to go back to January just because the PowerPoint presentation that we looked at is January. So you'll see in January's I've got the two folders. There's the ethnicity data there and the summary data there. So basically, once you've saved them to a folder, you can open the spreadsheet. What I would always advise is go to editing and open in your desktop app, because sometimes editing on the browser can be a little bit problematic. So we are now in we're on our desktop. When you first download your spreadsheet, it won't look like this because it won't have any tables in it. It'll look exactly like this, apart from the DDR tab and the antipsychotic tabs won't be there because we create them as part of the monthly update. You'll just see this same spreadsheet with a title sheet, notes and definitions. You'll have table 1, table 2, table 3, table 4, and table 5. Now, the two main ones that you're going to look at on here are table 4 and table 5. Table 4 contains all of the dementia diagnosis rate data. And if you don't know how to put filters on, basically you go to the data tab on the Excel spreadsheet, and that turns filters on and filters off. You need to select the whole spreadsheet by clicking in the top left-hand corner. When it grays out, you know that you've selected it all. Click on the filter, and what you'll see is it puts all these drop downs at the top. The filter column that you're interested in here is column D, so you go and drop that filter down just uncheck the select all and then go down. You might want to just expand this at the corner a bit. We'll go all the way down. The first one you want to see is England, because we always put England in as a comparison. And then just keep going down until you get to the ends. And when you see the NHS prefix, these are the ones that we are interested in. These are all the ICBs and sub-ICBs. The first one we want to find is Humber and North Yorkshire Coast. Sorry, Humber and North Yorkshire, and you can see they're here. So there should be 7 of these. The reason why there's 7 is there's the integrated care board you can see there, and then above it are 6 sub-ICBs, and you can see they've each got their code at the end of them. So then we'll scroll down to south. We need South Yorkshire. So there should be 5 South Yorkshires. There's the integrated care board, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4 sub-ICBs. Next one is West Yorkshire. There should be 6. There's the ICB itself, and then 5 sub-ICBs. You click OK, and there you have it. That's the filtered ICBs and sub-ICBs for Yorkshire and Humber. You'll see there's 2 Englands. There's one at the top and one at the bottom. Don't know why that happens, but if you copy all of them down to the second England, don't copy the last one. If you go to Control and then copy the 3rd column, because that's dementia diagnosis rate column. Again, don't pick up the last one. And then right click and copy. You go into a new tab. You would open a new tab. In fact, I'll do this. So you basically open a new sheet. Click on the second tab down and just paste everything into there. In the top row, what you're going to say, you're going to call that organisation. And then in this row, you're just simply going to put DDR %. And then this a 3rd column, you're going to put national ambition. And the national ambition is 66.7. So you're just going to put that in there, and then you just grab the corner and drag it all the way down. You've got your national ambition in there. So now what you want to do is you want to do that sorting from smallest to largest that we talked about in the table. So you just select the you can just select the 1st and 2nd column. You don't need to grab the title columns. Go to A to Z. Ask it to sort by the DDR column, the smallest to largest, and then say OK. And you'll see now that the smallest is appearing up there, and that's O3K. Now, what I always do, if we go to the DDR tab that I've already got, what you'll see there is you'll see that you can identify the sub ICB by its old CCG name, and that's what I do every time I basically look at the code and I put in what that code is, you know, where that particular geographical area is that code relates to. And so O3L Rotherham, O2T Calderdale, X2C4Y Kirklees, O2Y East Riding. And the main reason that I do that is because if we just present a chart that has all of the NHS Humber and North Yorkshire ICB, sub-ICBs in it, and all you can see is a code that says O3Q and one that says O3H and one that says 42D. What are the chances that you're going to know what they are? I think very, very slim. Unless you're somebody who uses data all the time and works with data all the time, it's very unlikely that you're going to know what they are. So the way that you can do that is by looking at the previous month's data sheet or PowerPoint presentation, because if you look at the PowerPoint presentations, you will always see the ICB name, then the code. So for instance, Humber and North Yorkshire ICB O3Q Vale of York, and so you can just copy them over and change the name so that they basically end up looking like this. And what I do with the because in the original list, Humber and North Yorkshire Integrated Care Board is spelt out. Sorry, the Humber and North Yorkshire bit is spelt out, and West Yorkshire and South Yorkshire, I abbreviate them to HNY, SY, and WY, and it just makes it a bit neater when you come to doing the charts, basically. So once you've done that, you need to put in a table, basically. So what you do is you highlight all of the data, and you go to insert, and you insert a column bar chart. It will look like that when it first goes in. Now, what you'll what I've done in the past is I've developed this dashboard so that we have a nice chart that's got pinks and yellows and greens, and it's got the line going across, and it's got a particular set of aesthetic values. And so what I've done is what you can always do once you've got a chart that you like, you can always save it as a template, which is what I've done. So in DDR, I think it's that one that is saved. It's DDR1, basically. This may not be the case in your because you will be using a different Microsoft account, so when your Excel opens, you probably won't have access to my charts. But if you want, but basically what you can do is you can just change your charts. I'd go to templates. You can see my DDR1 is there, and I would select that, click OK, and it changes my chart into, the kind of sort of chart that I've saved as a template. So that's something that you'll need to do when you come to put the charts together. But generally, when you when you drop a chart in, you will you'll do it like by selecting all the data. You insert and go to column chart. It will put a column chart in like that. The dimensions generally are 14 by 32. So the height is 14, the width is 32, nearly always. And then, like I say, once you've managed to change chart type, go to templates, select on the DDR one, and it immediately changes that chart to what you can see below there. And then you just go and pinch the title from last month's, like I was saying before, just be sure to change the month. I'll just delete that chart now. So your chart ends up looking like this one that you can see down here. And when you've got it looking like that, you just do a right click and you copy it and you go into your your PowerPoint. Basically, if I just go new slide, I will just put it into there. And what you'll see, it puts it in as just a a square chart. And what you see I've done is there's a box in it's a shape basically that I put in just to make it look a little bit better. So you can see the square edges of the chart that are inside this rounded edged box. So basically, the best way to do this is each month, if you open up last month's PowerPoint presentation and just go to File, Save As, and for instance, this one's January, so I'd go to File, Save As, February 2023. It will save an exact copy of January's, but it will call it February. So then you can close down January's, put that back in the file, and then open up the one that you saved as February, and then everything in there you can just so you'd be able to just delete the chart and paste the new chart in, and you'd still you just paste it into the nice sort of rounded corner shape there. You don't have to do this, but it's just how I've tried to make things look a bit better. The other thing that will happen as well is so if, for instance, I was to delete the chart there, what you see there is it leaves behind the labels that we've got in there for the ICBs and England, which you kind of want, because if I cut this chart and I pop it into there, what you'll see is it drops it in and the labels are still there in the background. So what I'll do is, because it's a bit long, that chart, I'll just squeeze it in a little bit so that it comes within the nice rounded corner shape. You can just drop it down a little bit. And then if you, so now you can't see the labels, but if you go up here and go to the Format tab and see these buttons here that say bring forward or send backward, you want to send backward 4 times the chart. So, but basically what it's doing is it's pushing it back a layer each time. So it's pushing it behind the labels, and now you can select these labels and just, they can be a bit temperamental, but you can move them around and you can center them, so that they overlay nicely to where they should be, and just make sure that they are on the right. Make sure West Yorkshire's on West Yorkshire and South Yorkshire's on South Yorkshire, etc., etc. So that's that. That's really how you do the dementia diagnosis rate. So the next thing to do is to look at the use of antipsychotics. So if we go back now to the data, what we're going to do now is I'm just going to delete sheet 1 because we don't need it. And we're going to basically go to the table where the antipsychotic data is table 5. So when you go to table 5 and you read the top, it says table 5, patients with a diagnosis of dementia and a prescription for antipsychotic medication in the last 6 weeks, England, January 2023. So the data that you want that is in these columns here. The main 2 columns that you're interested in are the first 2. So this is the dementia register. These are the number of patients on the dementia register for each of the ICBs or sub-ICBs or England. And then the next column is the number of people who have had an antipsychotic prescription in the last 6 weeks. And so for England, that's 431,845 on the register. And of those, 39,055 people have had an antipsychotic prescription. There are some figures here that split it down to people who have psychosis diagnosis and those without a psychosis diagnosis, but we don't put them into our dashboard right now. It could be something that we do going forward, but we just don't at the moment. So basically what we do here is the same data filtering that we did before. So select the whole page by clicking on the left hand corner, click on filter, it's column D again, unselect everything. This time you've got England there at the top, and you've got the same NHS prefixes for the ICBs. I'm going to go down to find the H's first for Humber and North Yorkshire, and remember there are 7 for Humber and North Yorkshire, and then we'll come down to South Yorkshire, and there are 5, and then West Yorkshire, and there should be 6. So that's it. So we've selected all those. This time you've just got 1 England, so you want to select everything, and the first 2 columns, copy them. And then what you will do is you push these into this new sheet, and I'll just add a new sheet and show you what it would look like. I'll just paste it into the second row down, and again it's organization, and then it's register, the number of people on the register, and then I just call it APsych. So they're the people on an antipsychotic. And then you want a third column that just says percentage. So basically what we do with this one is in order to work out the percentage, what you do is you ask it, you do a sum in there, which it basically divides C2 by B2 and times it by 100 to get your percentage. So it's what percentage is 100 of 2,200? It's 4.5%. What percentage of 431,845 is 39,055? It's 9%. So what we'll do is, if you make this column, instead of it being general, if you make it all %, and then if we type in equals some brackets, C2 divided by B2 times by 1, and it comes out at 9.4%. You might want to do this by just 2 decimal places, and that becomes 9%. And now we should be able to just grab the corner and drag that down, and it should put that sum in and progress it for each cell, which it looks like it's done. So if you go into that cell, that should be C20 divided by B20, which it is, yes. So, and you can see the percentages there. So now what you want to do is sort the list by smallest to largest. So if you select all just the names and the figures, so not the top row, and you go to your data and A to Z, you want to sort these by the percentage column, smallest to largest. Click OK, and you'll see that basically that's rearranged the list from 4.5% up to 14.9. And again, we've got this thing where we've got the ICB and the code, and again, what I do is I change that to reflect what each of those codes stand for. So if I go to the encyclopedia tab, that you can see I've done exactly the same that I did with dementia diagnosis rates, and I have put the locality name in for each of the codes. Just makes it a bit easier, I think, for people to interpret. And then we've put a chart in below, and you can see from left to right, we've got the codes. Okay, so what we'll I'll just go back to sheet 2 now, and just to say that when you come to put your chart in, you basically do as before, but this time you're just going to selecting the organization and the percentage, and you're going to insert a column chart, and it's going to look a bit like that. And again, there's kind of a recognized size is 14 by 32 again. I'll just pop that in, 14 by 32. Oh, 27. You don't want it to be that big. I'll just bring it down so that we can see it on the page. And again, so I have saved this as a template already. So if I go to change chart type, I'm going to go to templates, and you can see that I've got an ASIC template there. And I click OK, and it immediately changes that to that template. And you can see it's got the data labels at the top. It's highlighted the integrated care boards with their checkered fill, so that they stand out a bit more, and it's highlighted England also in blue. Again, you don't have I'll just copy that. You don't have the names, and you also don't have a title other than that percentage. So what you would do is you copy that, go to your PowerPoint presentation, and bit. I'll put a new slide in just to demonstrate this, but it's the same as before. You paste that in there, and basically you would then what you would do is you delete the old one from, because you'd be using the template, as I said before. You would have saved this template for the particular month. You delete that one, and it would do the same as when we were looking before. It leaves the labels for the ICBs, and for England, it leaves them there. So when you paste the new data in there, those data labels are there. You just need to trim this chart so that it's within the nice rounded figure, and then do what, as I said before, if you go up to format, go send backwards, send backwards, send backwards, send backwards 4 times, and then you'll be able to grab these labels. Number of North Yorkshire, South Yorkshire there. England there, and then West Yorkshire there, and just do check that you are putting these in the right place, because sometimes if the figures go up and down, sometimes the template it stays to whatever it was saved at that particular month. So if in February, for instance, if all of a sudden England's figures change massively and they went up to 10.2 or went down to 6, then when you applied the template, England would still be highlighted around about 9% as blue. So just be wary of that. But yeah, that's what you would do for that one, and you'd obviously give it a title, which it had before. Now I'm just going to go back in the steps now, because yeah, so there you can see that you would just pinch the title, change it to January, and then just remember to select the whatever it is for this current month for England, the headline sort of speech bubbles, shout outs. Just make sure that those get changed to 9, so it's consistent, and it says, basically in January in England, 9% of patients with diagnosed of dementia had a prescription for antipsychotic medication in the last 6 weeks, no change from December 2022. So always look back and see if there is a change, then say it's a slight increase or it's a slight decrease. Decreases are better in antipsychotics, increases are better in DDR. So I'm just going to delete that slide, and then we should be back to our presentation. So we've done the headlines, we've done the monthly DDR, we've done the antipsychotics. I'll just go back to the spreadsheet, and I'm just going to delete this sheet too, because I just put it there to demonstrate. But this spreadsheet is done with now. So basically, when you finished with the monthly spreadsheet, what you should end up with is everything that you started with, but 2 extra tabs, one called DDR, one called antipsychotics, and you'll have your data for both in those tabs. You can now close that. The next bit in the PowerPoint presentation then is going to be looking at the ethnicity splits for Yorkshire and Humber, and what we do with this is we present it in 3 charts, one for Humber and North Yorkshire, one for West Yorkshire and for South Yorkshire. And we'll do a separate video to look at how we extract the data from that spreadsheet and put it into our presentation slides. Thank you for listening.